Project for today is going to be this 2000 Suzuki Quad Master 500. We're just going to do a general service on it. It needs a oil change, and then we'll check the air filter, maybe clean that, and then the front and rear differentials, we'll check the oil in there, and then I'm going to end up putting a new battery in it. This one was dead when it came in, and I charged it, and it's holding juice for a while, but then if you leave it overnight or so, it goes dead pretty fast, so we'll be replacing that. But I'm gonna start it up first and run it for a little bit to get it warmed up some, and then we'll get to changing that oil. So I ran it around a little bit and got it warmed up. If you're looking for the drain plug, it's this very front hole. It'd be on the right side. It's a 21 millimeter. Not the easiest to get up in there sometimes. This one's got some dirt or something jammed around the hole, so I can't get my fingers in there very good. So let that drain, and then we'll go up and we'll pull the oil filter. So I thought I'd just show you the drain plug real quick. There is a sealing washer on this one. This one's kind of stuck on there, but they have a magnet on them, and I get a lot of questions on how much is too much metal and stuff on them. They're always going to have some. This one has a little bit bigger chunks. It actually looks like clutch material, but it's still not enough to really be too worrisome. If they're stacked up so there's like a ½ inch of junk on there, then you should probably be worrying and looking for where that metal's coming from. But if it's just a little bit, especially fine shavings, it's not really anything to be concerned about. This one, I use high flow oil filters. This one takes HF 138, so I'll run and grab one of them and we'll spin that off of there and spin a new one on. So these are kind of hard to get anything under here to catch the oil that comes out, so I just shoved a oil absorbent mat underneath. I'll put a link in the description to some of those oil absorption mats. Or sometimes they call them a pig mat, but I really use those things on everything. So there's that. Then I'll clean up this surface a little bit. There's some junk around there, and then we'll spin the new one on. So the only filter I had was a HF 138 RC. So the only difference with the RC filters is they do have this a nut on top, basically, that you can put a wrench on to get it off of there. So they're not meant for tightening them down. You only want to tighten them down by hand. Then these do also come with a little bit of grease around the O-ring, but I do still always smear a little bit of oil along that to make sure it comes off easier in the future. And I'll pull this back out of there. That's that pig mat, oil absorption mat I was telling you about. So now we should be able to put the drain plug back in. I've got that cleaned up, and we'll throw that back in and then fill it up with oil. So this is pretty much down to a slow drip. So we'll throw this drain plug back in. Now I can tighten the drain plug down. You don't need to really refine it. This is a longer handle ratchet, and I just hold it about here so you don't get the full leverage on it. You don't want to over tighten that. You're just going into aluminum, so that's tight enough. Now we'll fill it up with oil. So over on the left side here, is the oil fill. It's blowing some dirt out of the area. So I'm using a Mystic 10W40 full synthetic oil. I buy it in bulk, so I just put it in random containers like this. But it says it holds 2.85 quarts, but I'm gonna put 2.5 in, and then we'll check it from there. I can't remember exactly what this held last time. Sometimes it seems like the Suzuki manuals are off a little bit on how much oil they hold if you change the filter. It also depends on how good you let it drain. I like to let them drain for a long time to make sure I get it all out of there. A lot of the contaminants and stuff will come out last. So I'm going to put 2.5 in, and then we'll check it. So we'll put the dipstick back in. The manual doesn't specify if you should thread it in or not, but I'm just going to thread it in since it doesn't say, it just says replace it. So I would assume that means thread it in. So we're still a little bit short at 2.5 quarts. So I'll put a little bit more in, and then we really want it to be over full right now, because once we start it up, then it's going to fill the oil filter, and that's going to take a little bit out of there too. So we'll check it one more time. So now we're just over the hash mark, so that should be perfect with once we run it. It was just about 3 quarts that I put in. That's why I was saying the manuals are always kind of iffy on these Suzukis for some reason. They also say that you should only have to change the oil on these every 1,200 miles, and I strongly discourage that. I try to do every 500 miles or so I would change the oil on these. You're running your transmission oil, and everything is all the engine oil. It's all the same oil, so it has heat from the friction of the clutches and everything, plus the regular engine oil running through the engine. So it's really a good idea to change them every 500 miles or so. It's not that expensive to do it, especially if you're doing it yourself, so you might as well be on the safe side and make it last longer by just changing it more often. So we'll start it up, and then I'll check it again, and then the oil change will be good to go on this, I think. We'll just let it run for maybe 30 seconds or so, and I'll shut it off, and I'll wait like 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll recheck it. So I rechecked the engine oil, and that was right at the top of the hash marks. So now we're going to check the rear differential fluid. It's just this bolt right here. It's a 17 millimeter. These are prone to, if this vent tube is leaking or anything and they've been in deep water, it'll overflow usually when you pull that plug out, because it has water in it. So we're pretty much just looking for oil right at the bottom of the threads. It's kind of hard to get you to see in there, but it is pretty much right at the bottom of the threads. Can't get a good light angle for you to see. But so that's good, and it looks like good clean oil, so we'll leave that one alone. Then we'll move on to the front one and check that one also. So the front differential is this plug right here. It has an 8 millimeter Allen head. So we'll get that out of there and check that one. So that one was a little tricky to get in there, so I didn't record that part, but this one should just be full to the bottom of the threads also. There's a little bit over full on that one, but it looks like clean oil. So that one should be okay. The one thing with these is it's important to take a pick and clean the dirt out of there. This one you can see is already a little bit rounded out, but there was some dirt packed in there, so I couldn't get it seated into the Allen wrench. So you want to make sure it seats in there as far as it can go, because it's not super deep to begin with. So as long as you get it good and clean in there, they're usually pretty tight, so you got to pull pretty hard on them, so that's why you want to have it good and seated down in there. But I'll get this reinstalled, and then we'll move on to the air filter. So this one, the air filter's under the seat. This seat was already on there loose, but there's a deal there you push to pop the seat up, and then there's a couple of Phillips screws here so we can pull this cover up, and we can pull this clamp off of there if you want to get it up and all the way out of there, but I'm just going to check it for now. And there's a screw there, and a screw there, and it's kind of under these little tabs. So it's got to go backwards a little bit. And that one doesn't look too bad, but I'll pop it out of there anyway to get a better look at it. There's like a wing nut on the back side here. I can show you better when I get it out of here. So there's the wing nut there. So I think I'm just going to blow this one off, and it does feel like it's still tacky with oil, so that should be okay. If they're really caked with dirt on the outside, that's when you usually want to wash them up really good in like mineral spirits or something similar to that, and then you want to coat it with a good air filter oil. You never want to run these foam filters dry, because the dirt will go right through them if they're dry, so you don't want to do that, and the fine particulates will go right through it. So you got to have the oil on the foam filters. So this is the air filter oil I use. It's a Klotz foam air filter oil. Otherwise a PJ1 oil works pretty good, and this is just a spray. I usually just take like a rubber glove, I'll spray it in my hand, and then I'll rub it all over the filter, because you don't want to get it too saturated. You just want just enough that there's a film around the whole thing where it soaks in just a little bit. But I've got that one blowing off with air, and I'm going to put the cover back on, and then we'll have to get the new battery for this, and we'll get that put in, and this one should be good to go. So the battery has a hold down that goes across like that, but I'd already pulled it off because I had to jump start this, and it's hard to get to the battery. So those are 12mm bolts, and then this one has a winch on it, so we have a couple extra wires. We'll pull that out of there. This one is ETX 14, so we'll try to keep the grounds together over here. That's a 2020 battery, so it's 2025 now, so that lasted 5 years, so that's not a terrible life on one of these four-wheeler batteries. 5 years is usually a pretty good lifespan for them. If you keep a trickle charger on them over the winter, or if you're just using it all winter, I still recommend people put a trickle charger on them and just have them on all the time, especially if you're not using the thing all the time, and you can get 5-6 years out of them. But if you let them freeze all winter long and don't use it, you're lucky to get a year or two out of them. So it's all about how you take care of them, and as long as you're not buying the cheapest battery out there. This one's 220 cold cranking amps, so you want to get something that's equivalent to that. This is a Super Start from O'Reilly's. These are fairly decent batteries, and then Interstate or the Diehards are decent batteries too that you get at O'Reilly's or Advanced Auto Parts. So I ended up getting a Diehard Gold battery. This one is 200 cold cranking amps, so it's a little bit less than the other one, but it'll be fine. You just don't want to get them when some of them only have like 100 cranking amps, and they're the super cheap ones. So it comes with a couple of different choices for the bolts. I think we can use the shorter ones. Set it down in here. This one came fully charged and ready to go, so you didn't have to put any acid in or anything. And this is an AGM battery absorbed glass mat, so you don't have the liquid acid in there. These seem to be some of the longest lasting batteries out there right now. I've tried a few of the lithium ones, but they don't seem like they last if they're out in the cold. They are a lot lighter though if you're looking to save weight. You can save, it's like close to 7 pounds difference on a lot of these. You just slide these little square nuts under there. I'm not sure why that was bent flat. That other battery must have been a little bit different style or something. As you could tell, this was bent over before. I might be able to slide it in there. I have to get different pliers and bend that over. So I used the needle and those vice grips and clamped on the edge here and then bent that over. So it's supposed to kind of fit around the squared edge there. And I'll grab something to tighten that with. Just use a Phillips to get it started. Sometimes they're not long enough to catch that nut. This one did catch it. That one's barely catching it, but I did get it. I'll tighten it a little with the ratchet. You don't want to over tighten them, but you want them snug. So then we'll throw the hold down back on it. Try it like that. And then we should be ready to go take this one for a test ride, make sure everything else is okay. Seat back on, I'm good to go. One more thing I want to do quick before we take this out for a test ride is this cover, you just pull on the very bottom, pull it back, and then it'll pull up and off of there so you can check the coolant. I did run it for a little bit, so I wanted to make sure it wasn't warm anymore. So I maybe will top that off. It looks like it's got some right at the towards the top, but we'll put just a little bit more in there. So I got it just about to the top. I think you can kind of see it there. You don't have to use anything special. I just use this Peak green antifreeze. It's a 50-50 mix. I think I got it at Menards or something. So you don't have to have any special antifreeze for ATVs or anything. Most of them just run the plain green stuff. Just make sure you don't open that when it's hot. It'll blow up at you. But the overflow tank isn't super important. As long as you have an actual radiator cap, as long as the radiator's full, you don't have to worry quite as much about the overflow tank. But some of them, all they have is the overflow tank. You don't have an actual radiator cap like that. So then you do have to make sure the tank has the right amount in it. Well, everything's working good on it, so I think we can call a wrap on this one. If you like this sort of thing, like the videos and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.